Well, welcome to the Swing It with Winget podcast. Yeah. Here we go with a pretty awesome episode. I've got Veronica, the one and only Malloy. Come swing it with Winget. I'm so excited to have you. Not only you're a really good friend of Melissa and I's, but you're kind of special. And I've been trying to ramp up for this for a while. I mean, I wanted to get you here because I feel like you have such an amazing story, and so many different people can relate to you in so many different ways. And even guys, that are aspiring to be a better version of themselves physically, mentally, more positively. So I kind of just wanted to welcome you to the Swing It with Winget podcast. And I wanted to introduce you to my listeners and dive into who Veronica Malloy is. I mean, holy cow, she's a businesswoman. Mm-hmm. She's a wife. She's a mother of an amazing daughter named Danny, who's 20.
Gonna be 20 on Sunday.
This Sunday.
Sunday.
Big celebrations.
Yes.
Holy cow. And you are a world champion.
Yes.
In the fitness industry, which we're excited about. And you are a cancer survivor. What did I miss? There's a lot in there. And you're also one of the funnest people I've met. You love to laugh. You have an infectious personality, and I think your passion for life is amazing. You grew up in Brazil, right?
Yes.
So I wanted to maybe start there and kind of let's hear more about you and your story and what makes you so incredible in so many different ways. How long did you live in Brazil, and tell us the story how you became an American citizen?
Left Brazil. I was almost 18.
Okay.
Came here with, just like everybody else, with American dream, right?
Right.
Everybody wants that American dream. I wanted to come here and have a better life. So I got married after a couple of years being here, and I had a daughter. Mm-hmm. And she's everything to me. She's a very, very cute girl. And got a divorce in the mix of all that. And I've been here for 22 and a half years. Okay. Became a citizen after 2 years that I was in the country. I was doing all the paperwork the way I was supposed to.
Quite a process.
If
you're doing it right.
It's a long process.
Jeez.
It's a long process. But I did everything I was supposed to do and became a citizen after that. My daughter was with us, so it was nice to, swear the flag and do all this stuff. And it was fun. So
you used to live in Las Vegas, right?
Yes. And in sometime during the time that I have been here for 22 years, but in the middle of that time, I moved to Las Vegas for work.
Okay. All right. And where do you want to start from there? I mean, your life's so incredible in so many ways. What do you want to talk about first? Like, if you want someone to know who Veronica Malloy is, where do you start? I mean, it's just so
my life has been crazy. I mean, 2 decades here in United States and gone through so much ups and downs. There's always the ups and downs, right? Marriage and things like that. And then kids, raising a child in the world we live in these days is not fun, but
stressful because you're like really, involved, and you guys are so close. Yes. And you just we want our kids to just turn out so amazing, right?
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that has impressed me about you, Veronica, is that you have this passion for this country. And, in passing, we'll talk more about, what you do when you're not preparing for competing or working out, in the gym or doing all the things that you're doing, which is your business. But I've really appreciated how, conservative your political views are, as well as how passionate you are about people who really appreciate this country and all that all these opportunities that we have.
Yes.
That people take for granted sometimes.
Yes. And I think, I see all the time here, living here now and seeing all these crazy stuff that has been the last couple of years where people are complaining so much. I'm like, you guys have no idea what I had to go through. And don't get me wrong, I had a really good life in Brazil, but what I saw some of my friends going through, it was very sad.
Yeah.
Some of the opportunities that I had because my parents, they work hard, they went to school and stuff like that, but some of my friends did not have the same.
Right.
So even watching that was something that really made me who I am today, just because I do not take for granted anything.
Right.
It could be the smallest things that I would receive from my husband or a gift from my daughter. I take that and I love to take care of it because you never know tomorrow and the next day. So,
well, let's kind of go in chronological order because there's so much there. So you get married, it didn't work out. You had this beautiful daughter. You and your ex-husband are still close, and everybody's great and good things there. Then what happens? Like, when did you deal with the cancer chapter, and when did you start competing first?
So it was so crazy because I was dealing with a divorce at the same time that I got diagnosed with uterus cancer.
Oh my gosh.
And because I was so frustrated with how my life was turning to be, I decided to keep it to myself. I didn't tell anyone, so I don't know if that was a great thing. I will be honest with you. I don't know if I made the right choice of keeping everybody in the dark and not mentioning it to anyone. Right. Steve didn't know. My ex-husband and my family didn't know back in Brazil. My entire family lives there. Do you remember how old you were? I was 25.
25. And how did you find out that you were diagnosed?
So as women, we should definitely listen to our doctors. And if the doctor says go get checked up every year, or now I think it's the rules is 2 years. If you get checked up, go every single year and do your pap smear.
And do what they say. You just never know.
You never know. And that's how they found it. Yeah. It was a normal, regular pap smear. Annual exam.
A lot of women probably at 25 it's uncomfortable to do that, I'm sure. You just don't want to do it. No, it's not going to happen to me. Yes. I'm 25 years old. Like, no big deal. That's unbelievable. At 25, you're dealing with, so you go in, regular checkup, and then what happened?
And then they called me back about a day later and said, V, I need you to come back and redo the pap smear, just because I think there's something that is not clear. Would you be able to do that? So I'm like, sure. So I came back and I was kind of nervous because, some of these appointments, you don't want to hear from the doctor. Right. You kind of like, if you don't hear from the doctor, it's good news.
Right.
And I did hear from him. It was a pretty
quick response.
It was a quick response. So I had to go back in, and he goes and says, listen, so this is your diagnosis. You have uterus cancer, and it started as a cervix, and then it became uterus cancer because the cells multiplies. Right. Oh so he goes and says, you have a couple of options. You can definitely do what they call the lavage, clean out the outline of your uterus, and then maybe that's going to be it will be probably the best way to go. But if not, let's do another test to see how aggressive this cancer is. Right. So when we did another testing, the cancer was really aggressive to a point where it was multiplying really quickly. Right. So he goes and says, why don't we just do a hysterectomy? We don't know what this is going to end up being, so let's take it all out. So I made an appointment probably like 10 days later after I got diagnosed. And when they cut the tubes, they found cancer cells already traveling through, going to my ovaries. Oh my gosh. So it would have been something that if I did not even know, it would have killed me in a year.
Because it would have gone to the ovaries, and there's nothing
And
you can
then
do
it's
about
a silent cancer.
Wow.
So it would have taken my life in a year.
Unbelievable.
So I kind of dodged a bullet that one, and I really grateful for that love that this doctor had for me to keep me on the loop for everything that all the things that I needed to do. And I had a hysterectomy where it was just, I actually worked with a company that it was doing the hysterectomy at the time, like all the probes and cameras. Right. So it was laparoscopic. So I don't have a lot of scars, nothing.
Wow.
So, but yeah.
And this is going on while you're
going through
already
it.
in the rocks with the axe.
So I asked him to pick. So I asked him, I said, hey, listen, I'm having a procedure done. Would you be able to pick up Danny or watch Danny?
And she's how old at this time?
She was 5.
She's 5.
Yeah. So I told him, I'm like, could you do that for me? And he goes, oh, yeah, no problem. He had no idea.
And nobody knew.
Nobody knew. At this point. And I told the doctor, do not say anything.
So even
my name on the hospital board, even my name was actually a private VIP because I didn't want to tell anyone.
Anybody.
So I'm like, I don't mind releasing my paper to you guys, but I don't want my name to be like publicly on everybody's business.
So at that point, did you feel like you were going to accomplish some incredible, great things?
No.
Why was it that you didn't want anybody to know, or like? And what do you recommend other people that might be learning of this? Now, like looking back, what's the best way maybe to handle it?
Ooh.
Tough.
Man, this one is going to be a tough one. At the time, I wanted to prove to my ex-husband that I was more than just a wife, a pretty wife to him.
Yeah.
I wanted to prove to him that he didn't save me from Brazil, that it wasn't, yes, I had to do what I needed to do to be here, but I wanted the credit. I didn't want him to get the credit.
Right.
So I don't know if that was a good thing, but that's what motivated me to be strong, to do what I needed to do on my own. And it's hard because everybody that goes through anything hard, especially alone, is a different situation.
I can't imagine that.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I kept my mouth shut the whole entire time. I didn't say a word to him or anyone, not even Danny knew.
At what point did people find out?
So I became a little bit more open when I was working with young women, and I was doing a mutual with the girls, and Danny was part of the young women program.
Yeah.
And we were sitting down, and the bishop at the time wanted me to do a lesson about how to get to know V, because everybody wants to know who V is. V is a competitor. V does this, V does that. But so when they asked me about, to give like a mutual about me, I completely forgot that Danny did not know about the cancer.
Oh, wow.
I split it out, and I told them that it was that's how it brought me back, is the gym, is everything that I connected to, it was there. And the cancer never defined who I was, and it will never define who I am today. But it was a great lesson to go through. Like, it was a great experience, even though that it was not as hard, not as easy as what people would think. I had there were days that I bended my knees, begging. Yeah. It was hard, but I remember every time that it was going to be okay.
You had that reassurance.
Yeah.
Wow. And the surgery went okay, the recovery, how long did it take to fully recover to the point where you felt somewhat normal again?
So the recovery, because it was laparoscopic, so I didn't have a bunch of stitches or anything like that. You weren't
in a lot of pain before, during, or after?
So I went back to work like 14 days later.
Okay.
So it wasn't a big deal.
Nobody knew for how long? Until this mutual? Was that 5, 6, 7 years later?
It was pretty long. When I married Kelly knew. I told him about it.
This is the reason I think it's interesting is part of the reason that you're a champion is how mentally strong you are and how disciplined you are and how amazing you are. You know what I mean? And part of that's just this mental toughness and this, this discipline that caused you even to just keep this whole huge secret.
For me, I don't treat it as a secret.
At the time.
I treat it as my challenge.
Yeah.
It was mine
Your
and my
opportunity.
only to go through.
Yeah.
Choices. Would have gone a better choice if I would have gone a different path?
Who knows?
Didn't matter to
that was
me
your
at that
choice.
time. It was what I needed to experience. And I needed to find who Veronica was through that experience. That's why I always say the word cancer is very scary for everyone. And it's my worst enemy. Just to think about it, those moments, it's hard because it brings that emotion. Right. But it doesn't define who I am. Right. Because the strength, I had to find a way throughout all that stuff to continue to push it. Yeah.
So have you always worked out? Like, has fitness always been a part of your life, even when you were younger?
Well, I always been athletic. I mean, I ran. Yeah. I was pretty dang good in running. Okay. I was not like... cross country. Cross country. You're more of a sprinter. Yes, I was a sprinter. So I did 100 meters and I did 400 meters relay or whatever. Yeah. I forgot what they call it here in America.
Were you like the winner of your high school and stuff back then?
I was.
Always winning at everything.
Yeah, I like to. I like to win. So it's gonna. If you give me a challenge, I'm gonna freaking win.
So, at what point did you move to Utah?
So I moved to Utah first. Okay. Yes. And then about, 5 years later is when I moved to Vegas. Okay. 5 years.
And you stayed how long in Vegas?
I stayed in Vegas for 4 years.
And then you moved back to Utah.
And then I moved back to Utah. Okay. I like Utah.
You like Utah?
Yes.
Huh?
It's home.
You're kind of a world traveler too. I mean, you love to travel. Yes. And you love fashion too.
Yes.
And
now that I look like fashionable today.
We'll talk more about that too, because I think that's awesome. Passion for fashion. I love it. So you essentially, what year did you get married to Kelly? Do you remember?
2010.
2010.
Well, so I should remember that, man. Yeah. He's going to kill me if I don't.
No, he's actually become a good friend too. And V and I and my wife, Melissa, we're all like great friends.
I just saw her today.
I know. She's like, hey, you know what? You need to get better at scheduling because V had to cut my appointment a little short. Darn it.
She's so cute.
She's so funny.
I love her.
I mean, I am not the best at scheduling, okay? I'm working on it, and I blew it today.
What is it called again?
This show?
Yes. What is this podcast called?
Swing It with Winget.
There we go.
Yeah, I need to probably not embrace the Winget part quite as much. But, I mean, holy cow. Where do we go from here? So at what point did you decide that you wanted to actually start competing in the fitness world?
Okay, good question. So as I was...
and why?
Yes. Okay, so first it happened, with the cancer and everything that happened to me, there is a moment, a very, very short period of time that I found myself very depressed. Where, yes, I needed to go to work because that was my source of income. So I had to freaking provide for me and my daughter. So I had to figure it out how to do that. But I recognized today that I was very depressed at that time and I was staying home as much as I could. So that meant I was alone, didn't want to see anyone. Right. And that gave me a period, I think that was a period of only 2 months. Okay. Because, there's so much I can take of this.
Yeah, most people might be 2 years, but you were like 2 months. This is enough. 2 months
for me, it's pity moments here, and I don't have time for it. So I decided to start getting better. So I started doing this crazy research about cancer, how to get better, get my body in shape, because, I was not in the greatest shape of my life either. So now I was okay, that's going to be a combination of all this stuff with the depression and all this stuff. I needed to get back into that.
Had you like worked out before that on any bit of a regular basis in the gym, or were you just always in, athletic and decent shape?
I always worked out, but I
3
really
to 4
never,
times a week or so.
Yeah, never
just like a normal.
Never strict or never had some kind of
an
idea.
Athletic,
whatever I wanted.
had great genes.
Yes.
It was just came easy. And at this point, how old were you when you decided after 2 months that we're going to start changing things a little bit?
After surgery.
So you were 25?
Yeah, 25.
Okay.
Yeah. So I decided to go back to the gym, but I still no plan to get into the competition world or the fitness world.
Right.
But I was very focused on how I'm going to treat my body, how I'm going to take care of my body.
You became obsessed with it, like
and I
researching
became obsessed.
Diet and food, nutrition.
Even the water I drink.
Yeah.
That was everything, because I wanted to become this person that figured out a way to not put anything into my system. Now, no hormone supplements. Remember, I said I had a hysterectomy.
Right.
I still haven't been treated with hormone supplements.
Wow.
Because of it. So, and that for some women that is going to hear the story is going, how come she did that without any hormone help?
Because a lot of people may get recommended to do hormone treatments and therapy,
and stuff like that.
It just opens up a lifetime full of potential issues that are challenging.
So I kind of trying to, and I wanted to be real. I wanted to have that moment where if my daughter would ask me questions like that it would be easy for me to answer.
Right.
It was always like, hey, hard work. Yeah. Always hard work.
Always hard work, right?
Always hard work.
Yeah.
There is no shortcuts. No shortcuts.
So you get back to the gym, you start feeling better, you start you start working again at some point. I know you have more licenses than I have, and I have a lot of licenses. Like, how many licenses do you hold?
Oh,
this is insane. Wait till you hear this.
No,
was you a massage therapist the first one that you got?
A massage therapist, yes.
Was that your very first?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got that one checked off.
Well, but
not cheap, and it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, so I went to full school for that.
Jeez.
It took me,
the college massage therapy, Utah, the best one, arguably in the country.
Yep. I went there, and it was...
Learned all about the body.
All of it.
Which
Anatomy,
I'm sure has
muscles.
been helpful in your career.
Absolutely. I loved every moment of it. And I still practice. It's just not something that I love it.
Yeah.
The human body is the most precious thing in the world.
Right.
But I love skin. I love women. And I love to help women and guys. Come on, you have gotten treatment.
We're going to dive into that.
Exactly.
I'm a huge advocate of all of your services.
Skincare.
And, how much longer, how long after you were 25, you had your massage license at what, 27?
No.
28?
I was actually 21. I got my massage degree right before I gave birth to my kid.
Oh my gosh.
So I worked. I had a business called Gentle Touch Massage by Veronica Labrum at the time. Okay. Then I had a business.
You've always
seated
worked.
Massage.
You've always had your independence about you and your own little income.
I wanted to.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So anyway, after that, I had a baby. I still worked as a massage therapist, and then I got a job as a saleswoman for Stryker.
Okay.
Endoscopy. So I moved to Vegas.
Keep this pace. Let's just summarize all the boom, boom. What?
Yeah. So I went to Vegas, worked as a sales rep for a medical company called Stryker.
Okay.
Then from there, I moved back to Salt Lake City. I am also certified as a personal trainer. So I was training a bunch of women, getting them in shape, having them to be, excited about life.
Right.
And then
is that when you found your passion to help women? When did that come?
I think so. I think it was more of the going to the gym the first time, and then every time, as a bodybuilder, as you know, you start, you don't know what to expect. But as you work out, build those muscles, you start getting all that really pretty physique.
Yeah.
And then some people would always ask me, hey, why don't you compete?
Yeah.
Why are you not competing?
So
or have you competed?
The seeds are being planted all over the place.
They always ask, have you ever competed before? And I'm like, no. So, and then they kept saying, oh, there's a show this time, there's a show this day. Wow. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to talk to some people. So I found a trainer that would, help me to pose.
Who was your first trainer?
Her name is Sandy Hancock. She is so fun. She still, to this day, is an amazing trainer.
So she's still doing it. Where is she out of?
She does out of her home bases. So she has like a basement in Utah, South Jordan.
Okay.
She has amazing business down.
She's the one that helped you get into it.
Into the fitness world, like posing, all the diet, all the exercises that I needed to do. And we did a couple of shows. The first show I did, it was a natural show. They call it NGA. That NGA show, I took 3rd place.
And what year was that? Like, how old were you then?
So that
like 30?
Was 2011. So,
2011.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's like 11 years ago.
Yes.
So and you just turned 40.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So that's 10 years ago.
You and my wife, I swear, age better than anyone that I've met.
Yeah.
Of course, you are pretty passionate about the skin. Have all these unique things that we'll talk about in your business. Okay. I've been benefiting myself over here. So, geez, you would have been like 29, took 3rd.
3rd, yeah.
In your very first contest.
The first show. I went over there and I'm like, holy cow. So, and then I got the bug, because, when you're in the fitness.
You're pretty intensely like competitive too.
Yeah. Well, of course, remember, background, I used to race, right? So I still have imprinted. So I decided to do a show 2 weeks later. And I thought the same girls.
2 weeks later.
2 weeks later. The same girls, even the girl that took first from that first show of mine, she went too. So we were all competing at the same time, the same day.
That's not a lot of time in between.
Oh, yeah. No. And I kept thinking, I'm going to be her. I'm going to work out. I'm going to be her. I'm going to be her. Man, I woke up every day. I did everything that I was supposed to do. And I freaking won overall.
Overall?
It wasn't just my class. It was overall.
So
every class, when you go into a competitions like this, they divide us by height.
Okay.
And then at the end, all the first place from each class, each height,
there might be
goes into overall.
Like 8 different height classes?
It could be 8.
Okay,
yes.
so 6 to 8. And
they put you in there and then they judge who is going to win overall.
And your first one, you took 3rd in your height class.
Yes.
And the second one, just 2 weeks later. How the heck did you jump that much in such a short period of time?
Mind and power.
Mind, huh?
Mind and power.
Really, like, was there some secret sauce that you did? You just saw what you needed to do, and in 2 weeks.
Okay, so this is the thing.
Because you are kind of a freaky athlete. Not everybody's like that, but.
And I don't believe I'm perfect.
Of course not.
But I did everything I could.
From what your trainer was telling you and all the other people were saying?
Yes.
Were you just listening to your trainer at that point?
I actually listened to the judge. So the judge gave me a feedback. And I went home and I said, I have some work to do.
Yeah.
So for those 2 weeks I promised myself, I'm not taking 3rd. 3rd is one-time deal.
Yeah.
Well, it has happened to me a couple of times, but that's okay. So it's one-time deal. It's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
So the last... even if I took 2nd, I was going to be happy, but I wanted that 102 place.
The thing about it is, like, some competitions have politics and judges and all kinds of stuff that you see, and people that learn how to win in all these different variables with all these different things that are maybe out of their control, they just realize, and we talked about this one time, like, you just have to be that much better. Like the separation between good to great and great to the best is pretty significant.
Yes.
And it's pretty incredible. Like, and I think that's the thing that I'd love for people to better understand is the mentality of a champion and the mindset that you have to have. And, I've never been huge into fitness myself. I go through these ups and downs and all arounds, and we laugh about it and stuff.
We all do.
It's just sometimes you're more passionate about other things, and life's journey takes you in different ways. But we all have that special sauce about us, But so then what? What the heck happened next? Like you just won the whole class?
Then I kept going.
In every height? And this was a Utah competition,
it was a Utah,
local?
Yes, it was a local show.
Was everyone freaking out?
Oh, yeah, of course, because I'm like, they probably never saw me.
And Kelly, you'd been married with Kelly at this point?
At this point, I was only
007.
1 year.
We call Kelly 007.
Yes.
Wow, love that guy.
It was just a year into our marriage, and I told him, I'm like, okay, you know that this sport is not as easy as people think,
And he was behind you the whole time, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He, from the moment that I said I wanted to compete until now, I mean, every time he even picked the competitions that I should do. He gives me suggestions.
And Kelly's one of the smartest guys I've ever met.
Yes.
The guy researches everything. He knows just about
much everything.
I mean, he probably knows everything, but we'll just say just about.
Yeah, just about. Not the stuff that I do, okay?
He's
not, stay away from this stuff.
He doesn't overtalk or outstay his welcome.
Yes.
And,
come on, there's a balance here.
Yeah,
I'm the talker.
But could you ever done a lot of the things that you've done without like that, better half? I mean, you're both each other's better half, but somebody holding down the fort and all those details and trying to help push you and stuff?
No, I don't think I could, because it takes so much out of the person's life to do what I do. And that's why sometimes, I'm not saying that it's not possible, but when you have when you're married to somebody and the person wants the same things or compete in the same things, it can be a little tough at times.
Yeah.
But we figured out a way that my hobbies, which is fitness, is something for me.
Yeah.
It is about me.
Yeah.
And then all the stuff that he likes to do, it's about him.
Right.
And I will support him however he needs me to. But my fitness, it's all about me.
Well, and I'll tell you, my very first episode, I had my wife, Melissa, who's a good friend of yours. And, I had to openly admit, like, I couldn't have accomplished half of what I did without, like, that rock, behind me and supporting me and driving me and holding the fort down and just telling me to get up and get going and just, seeing me at my best and inspiring, helping me become a better version of me. Like that's why marriage can be amazing. If you have the right people around you, it can be a pretty powerful thing.
Absolutely. Agree.
So at what point did you, what was your next license all of a sudden? Like,
oh my gosh.
You started like, oh my gosh, you're winning, you're getting going over here. Like at what point did you decide to get more licenses?
So I decided to go and get into the beauty industry.
You remember what year that was?
Oh gosh, no.
Was it after you won this?
Yes, probably after.
A couple of years after or something?
Yeah, a couple of years after. You like dates.
Well, I'm just roundabouts.
I'm just mingle everything in one, it seems like.
Well, here's the thing. The reason I think it's important is there's going to be a lot of people eventually, hopefully, listen to this, and a lot of young women and teenagers and aspiring people to be more like me or to be more like you, right? Yeah. And so it's like, you don't just wake up and become a champion.
That is true.
And the thing is people, when they're young, like your daughter's age and my kid's age, they don't know exactly.
They think it's magic.
And they don't know exactly their route and what they're going to be the best at.
And how long it takes to get there.
And they're just hanging out with friends. And sometimes they don't care. They don't even want to even grow up. And it's like the sooner kids figure that out and put the big boy or girl pants on and realize, hey, you know what? It's fine to have fun and balance. But at some point, I got to figure out who I am and who my parents raised me to be and who they are and like, who am I?
Yeah.
And what am I going to do? What do I like? What do I want to create for myself and my family? And that is true. There's a lot of people that look up to people in our age group that have accomplished some amazing things. And those are the people that I want to inspire, you know, through you and myself, because I've always been a coach. Love coaching kids and high school boy and just the younger generation, because we're only as good as the next generation.
Yeah, for sure.
And,
Absolutely.
So you're killing it in fitness. And
so let me answer that question. So after that, I became they call it permanent makeup artist.
Okay.
So I did permanent
you
makeup.
Tattoos and stuff?
Not. I
On the
wouldn't say
eyebrows?
tattoos. I would say more of a semi-permanent makeup.
Okay.
Because when you say tattoos, people go, "Whoa, I don't want tattoos
Right.
in my face."
Right.
So we don't like it's the massage therapist versus masseuse.
Masseuse. Okay.
No, we
So
don't.
it's permanent makeup.
We don't refer masseuses.
Okay.
We refer massage therapists.
Got it.
So anyway, after that, I became. I was doing a permanent makeup, and then I decided to do aesthetics. So I got my basic aesthetics. Then I'm like, you know what? Why not go all the way?
Yeah.
So I became a master.
Kind of your MO here.
Yes, I became a master's, and then I went with a medical director, which it gave me a more of a broad way of practicing my, aesthetics, and became a medical aesthetics. So I do a lot of stuff.
How long did that take from start to finish? When you started as the permanent makeup to the point where you became
medical aesthetics.
a medical aesthetic. Sounds like a big deal.
So for everybody that does this, I think it's probably going to take them 2 years to do it.
Okay.
Because of the timing and I guess it's also the practice, because you have to practice a lot of things too and see a lot of things going on. And it took me about 10 months to do everything. But remember,
you go Captain Insane.
I put my little hat on, and I'm like, okay.
It's like, we'll see you in 10 months, Kelly.
Yes. It was hard for him too, because in the midst of all this, I was still competing, doing all that stuff that I normally do, and I don't know how I fit all of it in.
I'm sure there was a few emotional, days and nights. And,
especially the hangry
challenges.
times.
Yeah, hangry food, all the stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So you were just on kind of this rampage of just, I'm going to go get everything I've ever wanted, and I'm going to do it in record time, because I ain't got time for, just lollygagging around.
Yes.
And so, geez, you're now a medical aesthetic.
Yeah.
And at what point did you decide, I might as well start my own business?
Well, I started my business right before.
Okay.
Right before. And as I was introducing new things to my clients, they kept following me everywhere I go. I am pretty good what I do. I'm very good what I do. I have a lot of passion for the skin, to treat it. I go through so many things to myself. I have hypopigmentation, or I have issues when, you go too much in the sun, and you know what I mean?
Right.
Or having my own problems and how I feel about my own self, it helped me to be a little bit more sympathetic with women, and empathetic as well too.
So from the personal training, you saw this light that you felt in helping women, like physically and mentally.
Well, because it was the same way for me. I mean, there were days that I didn't want to get out of bed. There was days that kids drove me crazy. I'm like...
And then you were done with the training, and then you're like, I'm going to go to work and do All About You Services, which is the name of your company.
Yes.
And you're on Instagram, and you just moved offices. It's a little further from our home in Draper, which is where we both live. And you're in, is it Sandy or Midvale?
Midvale.
Okay. And like around 7800 South.
7661 South and 7th East.
And 7th East.
Yeah.
And I've been there about 4 or 5 times since. It's on my way home from the office. And the thing I'm trying to remember back, like, when I reached out to you about your services, and I'm trying to remember why I did that. And I know you had a dog that passed away. And was it Lily? Her name was Lily. And I think that's what, like, boom, grabbed me from it.
And you know how long it's been?
It's been like 3 or 4 years.
It's going to be 3 years in November.
And see, animals are a big part of your life.
Yes.
And they're a big part of my wife's life and my family's life too. And our dog, now we've had many dogs, and we were a little bit overachieving, thinking we needed a dog, we wanted a dog, but we weren't ready for dogs. And our lifestyle and baseball and all the sports and travel, it just wasn't good. And we ended up having to find a better place for some of our pets. And I feel bad about that. But the one dog that has just stuck, and we couldn't, it's like a child, is her name's Lily. So when I saw your post on Instagram, Lily just passed, and I saw how much she meant to you and your family. And then I reached out. I don't even remember I think you saw it and appreciated it, but like, I have this dog, Lily, like this new life, you know? And then I started to take an interest in, obviously, you know, I saw you at the gym. We work out at the treehouse, and I'd seen you there, and let me tell you, when Veronica's working out, nobody messes with her, because she has got the ear pods in, and she has a regimen, and everyone knows that she's not there to chat. Okay. In fact, when I'm in there chatting after she's done with her workout, she'll say, "Why are you talking so much? Well, where's the sweat? Let's see the Apple Watch. Let's see the heartbeat."
Oh my gosh, yes.
And it's like, oh boy. And you've even worked Melissa out a few times, and she couldn't like even walk for a couple of days. But she loved it.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's just your workouts are very specific and very like that's a regimen, and it's body sculpting is really what it is.
Yes.
And it's pretty impressive. And there's a handful of people like you at our gym, which is also nice, at different ages, men and women, but not quite to your level, you know, where you've not only become kind of a business mogul, you know, but you've also kept this passion, this hobby, and you and Kelly have been able to find that balance, and you've traveled the world competing. Mm-hmm. So this one little, hey, you should do this, turned into, like, at what point did it get outside of Utah? And you remember how long that was ago? Like, was your first competition like in Vegas, or how did you become a world champion?
Well, of course, after that show that I mentioned back that I took overall, it gave me a pass to do a national shows. So I started going to Vegas. I went to, North Carolina. Went to North Carolina.
So your first national show, how'd that go?
Pittsburgh. It was actually Pittsburgh.
Your
my
very
first show.
Did you have as much success?
Yeah, I came in second.
Second nationally?
Nationally.
Like the whole height group, or just your height?
There were 47 girls in my class. From
the whole country?
In my height.
And just your height?
Yes, 47.
Okay.
And somehow I took second. And then the next one I took third. So it was really hard, because I got to a point where I needed to make a decision, because I was doing really well in one organization.
Right.
And then I did really good, but I started declining only because my body was not reacting the way it needed to, because first of all, some of these organizations, nothing against any of them. Some allows a few things, some gets tested. Uh-huh. So the natural competitions that I've done, it makes I have to get tested. So right. I have to understand and sign a paper. If they, you know what I mean? Not if they will test me. If they have a question, if I'm having any enhancement of any kind of substance. So I made a transition to quit one organization and go to the other, just because I naturally cannot be a bigger woman. And don't get me wrong, underneath this clothes here has a lot of muscle. Yeah. But naturally, still, I beat my own odds. Right. So, but with, of course, the help of other drugs, of course, I would be amazing. Yeah. And then complication can happen. Yeah. And because of my history with cancer and all the stuff that could happen to me, not that it can cause cancer. Right. I just feel very comfortable of doing this. I mean, competing for this organization more than the other. So what's the name of the organization you're competing for now? INBA. INBA. And what does that stand for? International Natural Bodybuilding Association. And that also gets you out
and traveling the whole wide world.
And then with that, then I started traveling. Like my first international show was in Hungary.
And you love
Budapest.
to travel.
Yeah. I went to Budapest. It was amazing. Then I went to Australia with these people. I went to Greece. I went to Italy twice now. I went to Czech Republic.
Really?
That was, it was phenomenal. Czech Republic was fun.
Okay.
Because I got to go to Prague and it was amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, Prague's amazing.
Yes.
That's somewhere I'd like to go.
We stayed there for a full 6 weeks, 6 days, and it was amazing. Amazing. It was so much fun.
My gosh.
People, I love the people, and it's just
Culture
awesome.
and everything.
The culture.
Huh. So where was your first show that you won your first world championship through this organization? Is that the right way to put that?
So my first win was in Italy.
The same show you just got back from?
Yes.
You went and won.
That was my first
very
world. Yes.
Do you remember what year that was?
2017, maybe 16.
This is 5 years ago.
Yes.
4 or 5, 6 years ago.
Yes.
And do you remember the feeling? Like you probably worked harder.
I was nervous. Like the feeling, it was like, first of all, you go into competitions like this. Don't get me wrong. You go and you look around and you go see all your competitors that you're going to compete against.
Some of them are probably friends.
Some of them best friends sometimes. But you go and you go like, oh my gosh, what the heck? Do I have what it takes?
Yeah.
And you question yourself the whole entire time. Right. You pose, you don't get me wrong. When you step on that stage and only you in that moment for a minute, I close my eyes mentally and I'm like, this is all about me. It's all the hard work that I'm going to put it back here and be proud. No matter what it happens, I know I won in my heart.
Right.
Of course, it's nice to bring a silver thing, something. You know what I mean? Some kind of a souvenir back. But I want always gold, so of course. But yeah, that day when they called my number, it was really rewarding. Like I couldn't believe it. This show was so crazy because they have big screen TVs all over the competition.
Just
venue.
A huge deal.
Yeah, it was a huge
biggest
deal.
one you'd been to that point.
Yes. And when my brother, my brother was actually watching my competition in Brazil.
Oh my.
Through, Zoom or whatever. And he took pictures, screenshot it, and then he started putting all over the social media platforms. So it was fun.
When your number was called, what was the feelings that came over you? Were you just filled with just emotions?
I did it.
You did it.
I did it. I did it.
And you knew you could though, because you'd already replayed that in your mind, or did that one kind of shock you that you won the whole thing? Okay,
well, as anything else, there is so much that I, have done for myself to create the person that I am today. But the book Law of Attraction or The Secret or whatever you want to call it, that was what taught me to visualize what I want in life.
Get real clear. So
very clear. Every time I stepped on a treadmill, every time I did any workouts, every muscle I pushed to the failure, I imagined myself winning that championship. And
so when you won it, you had already won it so many different times.
It was already, yes.
Now it was just celebrating all the work, all the sacrifice, and just trying to fully enjoy it.
Yeah.
You got a permit grant over there. You should.
Yeah, it was fun.
Jeez.
It was really fun. And
you kept going.
Yes.
You kept going. It wasn't quite enough. You wanted to do it again.
So World Championships, it's other countries that invites our organization into their country.
Right.
And then we compete against their country too, you know what I mean? But at some point, the biggest show is what they call the Olympia. The Natural Olympia happens every November. All those people from all over the world in 50 countries, right? They all come down for that final trophy of the year. To be crowned the Natural Olympia champion is even better than the World Championship, by far.
Wow.
So when you get into that position, you go like, what the heck? This is pretty amazing.
And you can only be invited if you are a winner of.
Yeah, you have to compete in some of the shows to be qualified for the Natural Olympia.
Maybe first, second, third, or something like that.
Sometimes they allow other competitors to say, if you do this show, you're automatically qualified for.
Well, when you got invited to your first Olympian show, like where was this show?
It was also actually Team USA. It was held in Vegas, and I
you're
went
now
just
representing
for fun.
Your name, your family, your everything, Utah, all these people that have been a part of your journey. But now you're representing your country.
Yes. It's fun when you go to these countries and they go, oh, Veronica Malloy is in town. Veronica Malloy is going to be competing.
Kind of a big deal. You're like a celebrity.
It is a big deal, and it's more like when we were in Greece. We went to the gym after the show to work out, and then there was a couple of guys that came to me, they didn't even speak one word in English, but they kept saying that they kept just showing me their phone, and I want to say I thought they just want to get a picture with us.
You speak like 3 languages, right? Or is it more than that? 4. Okay.
So 4.
So you probably just started rattling off whatever language.
I don't know any Greek. I mean, I need to learn. So I go over there, and then I'm like, okay, so do you want me to take the photo? Yeah. And he goes, no, look. And then he showed it to me. It's me in his phone from the year past when I won a category of a competition. And I'm like, oh my gosh. He goes, can I go? Then after that, he wanted a photo with me. But he wanted to show me that he was
there and took the photo? He was there
in Vegas the year before. Oh, wow. And he loved my physique. Fan. Yes. Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So, but yeah. Wow. So, going to countries like this and be recognized, it's pretty freaking amazing.
Oh, man. And getting to travel and do it with your husband.
And I got to see the city afterwards.
Maybe do a little shopping.
This is bone.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk like you've got these 2 cats, okay? And the reason this is important is the first cat was named Chanel.
Chanel, yeah.
And it's spelled like Chanel.
Just like Chanel.
And the second one that's given Chanel a little competition on the very top tier there, and they keep fighting, on the is Louis.
Louis.
And it's spelled just like Louis Vuitton.
Yes.
And V, when did you get this passion for like fashion? Because you love fashion, and I think it's awesome. I'm kind of into that too.
Well, I grew up a little bit like a tomboy, 2 brothers.
Yeah.
You learn how to, beat them up a little bit more because they're, they're pain.
Right.
And, but as much as I like to be comfortable, as you can see today. Yeah. I like to be girly, and fashion to me is those moments where you get to put some really pretty clothes on and you enjoy every minute of it. You feel proud of yourself, especially when you worked so hard and paid for those things.
Right.
So I think it's more of I don't know. I think it's more... I don't know. I loved looking through magazines.
Do you remember the very first fashion thing that you bought for yourself?
It was my first Louis. We were in Seattle.
So Louis was your very first purchase.
Yes, I wanted to. Okay. I saved it. I mean, the magic, the little seeing it, overseeing, remember?
Yeah, visualization. Law of attraction.
Law of attraction. It happened. So we went to Seattle, and Kelly and we went to Louis Vuitton the first time, and he asked me, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to buy my first Louis Vuitton.
You got a purse.
Yes, a handbag and a wallet.
No, it's handbag.
No, it's a handbag and a wallet.
Okay. Oh that my matches. Gosh. Well, you'll have to show me which one of the many that have been bought from hard work since. Yes, which the number one is. Okay.
She is the very special one.
Well, I'll tell you what, V, I mean, we could sit here and talk for hours and hours. Like, we've become pretty good friends, you and me and Kelly and my wife, Melissa, who's probably one of your, more consistent clients. She's a lot better at scheduling, like months and months in advance.
Weeks and weeks.
She doesn't even hardly wear makeup anymore. And I kid you not, like, her confidence since she started coming to see you, Like, explain that. Like, what is the transformation you've seen in my wife since you first started to see her? Because I had to come for like 2 months because my wife's very conservative. And I'm like, she saw changes in me and how, like, we've done all kinds of stuff, like the belly heating and what kinds of stuff do I do? You've done the laser hair, on my neck, my back, my arms, my chest. And we've done
body contouring,
skin tightening. Sometimes I'm not as disciplined with the food and the, maybe the aerobic exercise,
Yeah.
And we've done, like, you've heated up skin tightening around. I used to have a bigger face.
Yes.
And it's not a bad thing to have a big face, but mine was just a little bigger than I wanted it. And certainly bigger than it was supposed to be. And you helped me shape it better.
The pictures are always
I can't even believe it.
Yeah,
like the before and afters are like, who is that guy?
Yes.
I don't ever want to look like that again.
Yes.
So now I have, like, you can see my jawline.
Your jawline. Mm-hmm.
And I wish you could take my gray hairs and make them darker
me
brown,
too. I wish I could too, but no.
Oh, geez. But then
look how perfect it is. You don't have to shave very much.
You've done all my neck laser hair removal, and it was so good. Then we started a new line. I'm like, oh no. And so now I got a new line. We got to go a couple more rounds, but hair on the back of my neck and my back, and it's like, how many times can you ask your wife to shave your back? Like,
exactly.
It's not pretty.
Yes.
And I've just never been a fan of hair myself, but to each is their own, right?
Yes.
But the transformation of my wife and her confidence. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest reasons that I wanted her to meet you and I've loved, like, every Mother's Day and Valentine's, I'm always buying her a new package with V because it's not just the services. Look at the smile. Yeah, look at the energy. Look at the passion for life.
I love working with her because she is one of those people that I truly believe that the services, it's given to you just like anything in life. You have choices, and then you have all these people to add to it. You know, it helps you along the way. But today she came in and she goes, do you understand? I've been going to the gym 300 and something days.
She's like 400 days in a row.
Almost 400 days. And I'm like, what? And she runs
5 miles a day.
Yes, that's not my thing.
None of this started really happening until she started coming with you.
Yeah, it was so fun to, don't get me wrong, it's her work.
She's a hard worker. But she actually saw, I think, seeing you in the gym, seeing the way you look and how ripped you are from head to toe, and seeing the body the way that it actually can be, I don't know the right words, but sculpted, and seeing muscles that are somewhere in there, like you actually get to see the separation. And I think she's really
even showing me pictures, the way she sees herself. Yeah. It's a proud moment.
She says, send me that photo of me and V flexing at Cabo.
Yes.
Because we went on a trip together, and it was one of my funner trips. I got to be honest.
It was fun.
We jumped off that yacht and,
it was fun.
007. Anyway, I'll tell you what, do you even have time for any of more customers and more clients?
Yeah, of course. I actually.
How do they find you?
I'm going to start expanding my business very soon. I'm going to have an apprentice coming.
Nice.
Under my wings, and
you have a website, right?
Yes, I do.
Do you want people to know about it?
Now go on Instagram, see my work there. I think it's probably easier that way.
It's all about you, right?
All about you services. You can book it, everything in there too as well. Go and find out what you like or what you would like.
Pretty tough to get into sometimes.
Well, right now, yeah.
It might take 4, 6, 8 weeks.
Oh gosh, no. 3 weeks.
If you're flexible and you're able to, hop in on a cancellation.
Remember, you're not a Winget because you like to wing it.
Swing it with wing it. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I highly recommend it. And it just being around a champion mentality. And,
Thank you.
I think it's really been a benefit to me and my wife. And I've referred to a few other people, and they've all ramp and rave about it. But, I wanted to thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
And we've been talking about, remember, like, I'm going to do a podcast. You're like, what in the world? I think you should do a podcast. And I guess to finish this off, like, what's the future hold for you? I think it's important to know. Do you what's the next year? What's the next 5-10 years look like for you? Because you're always trying to give back.
The idea is to continue inspiring women to become their best, even with all the things that we have to juggle. We have to be a mom. We have to work. We have to be a provider for, not just the kids that we have, the husband that we have, but for ourselves.
Right.
And forgetting, at some point we forget who we are because we give so much to everybody else. And I think in the moment like this, I want them to remind themselves that it's about them too. That's why I picked a sport that it's always about me.
Yeah, well, I think that's important. They say in wealth building and business success, one of the most important things to do is pay yourself first. Doesn't matter what percentage, you've got to pay yourself first to remind yourself
you're worth it.
You're worth it. And if I don't reward myself and keep those priorities, then ultimately it'll never come about. So anyway, Veronica, thanks for coming. It's been awesome.
It's easy.
Okay, over and out.
Thank you.
Today's podcast was brought to you by Utah's Best Vacation Rentals. Whether you're looking for a 3-bedroom townhome or a mansion with an indoor pool, Utah's Best has a vacation home for every budget and occasion. To book your next incredible Utah vacation, go to utahsbestvacationrentals.com. Book direct and save.